Right then, I'm officially a free man. It is Sunday. I finished my 9 to 5 full-time job on Friday. I am now officially on my sabbatical, and man, does it feel good to say that. It has been a long time coming. Those of you close to me know that I was gonna take it in May last year to see me through to Kona last year, but with that being postponed, it was about this time last year in January that announcement came out. We realised the implications and I had to postpone it. So it's felt like a long time coming. Some months it's like accelerated and like, it's coming. And the next it's, oh God, it's months away still. How am I gonna remain focused, etc. So it's here, yeah, buzzing. So this week's video, let's watch what Bryn's doing. This week's video is just gonna basically have a little bit of a look at the last 4 weeks. So as I've been handing over and somewhat, winding down, I have ramped my training up slightly, and depending on how long I spend on the bike later, I will have done about between 20 to 22 hours this week. I've done that before while working, but not for a sustained period of time. So the plan is to sort of, that's the benchmark now in terms of a volume that we'll look at. So I'll whiz you through kind of what the structures look like, and I don't actually know, I haven't looked at Training Peaks yet. Had a good chat with coach yesterday, what Monday onwards looks like. I can very much imagine the routine is the same. There might be a little extra session here or there, but I definitely expect some of the sessions to be a little bit longer. And obviously I have full control of when I'm going to do things. One of the big goals is to have all my training done most days by 4 o'clock, because that means I get an evening every day, treat training like a job. Get up, do your training, have some lunch, do some more training, and then relax, rather than having to cram things in as such. I'll hand over to myself now. I don't know where I'm going to talk through my training a bit or what I do, but enjoy. Right then, as promised, I was going to run you through the last 4 weeks, and don't panic, I'm not going to bore you with a Training Peaks screen share, although that is my favourite thing to do. I'm listening to the boss. She tells me that's not that engaging. So I'm just going to go through a high level, pick out some of the key sessions that I've done, what's next effectively. It worked out quite nicely. The 1st of January was obviously a Monday. First week was a little bit of a lighter week, partly as had our last big blowout of the year on New Year's Eve. Started the year hungover, and if I recall rightly, I just did a 45-minute spin once we'd driven home, then got going on the week. And the plan for the 4 weeks was to build up a manageable level of training that I take into my career break, so that I didn't waste the first month of my career break ramping training up necessarily. For some context, last January, I did do a training camp for 10 days, which boosted the numbers, but I did hit just over 80 hours of training. And in theory, I'm going to be slightly below that for January this year, but without a training camp, to be only a handful of hours down, I think that's pretty good. So week 1 was 15 hours. It was the only main difference between week 1 and the other 3 weeks was that I only swam 3 times, and I've been swimming 4 times a week since, and I think I ran 3 times as well. So the extra volume that's come in the last few weeks is basically adding in a swim and a run, and in some cases the run, particularly at the weekend, progressing up to an hour and 40. Let's start with swimming. So 4 weeks of swimming is 16 hours 20 and 63,400 meters, and that's 16 swims. So it averages at 4 a week. Technically I swam 5 times this week because I went to see Stuart on Wednesday at Swim Cube, although for those that have been in Endless Pool, I've counted it as a K of swimming, but it's not necessarily a session. But that is a fair amount of swimming. The 16 hours 20 is obviously on Strava and what is moving time, so it's probably more like 20-21 hours in the pool, and it's the one discipline that all the rest you take doesn't get factored into your total volume. Each week I've done a long aerobic swim to start, easy swimming and drill focus, a VO2 swim on Tuesdays, which has worked really well because on Tuesdays is the only day my pool is 25 meters, so it allows me to sort of do those 50s slightly faster than I would in a 50-meter pool. Then Thursday and Friday, some weeks it's alternated, but I've basically done a strength swim and a threshold swim, and what's been great is I've been progressing my threshold swims to get rid of the pool buoy as my ankle feels better. So some of those times I'm hitting are without assistance, if you like. The best swim I had in the block was on Thursday just gone. It was completely unexpected. It was my last day in the office. The train was late, so I normally get the 6:08 train into London. They didn't come till like 6:20. So I was late to the pool. I was tired. I'd had a long day Wednesday. But yeah, 1800s was the main set, and out of nowhere I swam sort of 122, 123 consistently on every rep off 145. So really happy with that. Onto the bike. Now I have ridden indoors, as you can see, a fair bit. A lot of that's been driven by the weather. Some of that's been driven for convenience, because Bryn, although he's not in here now, can stay with me and Amy can do her thing. Including this ride, I will have ridden about 32 hours, and that will be just over 1,000 kilometers, albeit obviously virtual Ks don't quite count. 32 hours on the bike is a decent chunk over 4 weeks. That is the thing I think is going to change the most as we progress to full-time athlete life, you know, particularly some more midweek volume and being able to go outside whenever it suits me rather than when the weather dictates it. Not really had any amazing bike sessions. I did fairly well in my ramp test, which I talked about in my last video. I've done 2 VO2 sessions now since, 20 lots of 1 minute, and this week was 12 lots in 90 seconds. I haven't yet felt great on either of those. I don't know what the VO2 set is next week, but I'm definitely gonna do it in the middle of the day rather than later in the evening, and sort of go into it well fueled and in a good place and try and, you know, smash the pedals and feel good in one of those sets, because they're the types of one for me you get those big endorphins from. And then lastly is sort of running. 15 hours, 20 minutes of running, just under 200k. December I ran 12.5 hours, so I've run 3 hours more, but bear in mind that's the whole of December. I'm likely to run at least once more, because the first of the month is until the middle of next week, so probably closer to 16, 17 hours of running, which is good. A fair bit of elevation gain, just over 1100 meters. I've been trying to make my off-road runs as hilly as possible, and that gain as well is quite good, because 80 of those Ks, so just under half of my running, has been on the treadmill where no elevation's recorded. So I've actually done most of that elevation in about 100 Ks of running, 110 Ks of running. So I think that's quite good. It's almost 100 meters per 10K. Feel really good running. I would say I'm in a very similar place to where I was last year at this time. Did a hard park run, as we discussed, where I would have liked to have gone a bit quicker, but I was knackered, and that's probably a fair reflection. I did a really hard set this week. I misread the numbers and did an extra 9 minutes worth of work, so that kind of cooked me on Tuesday. Sometimes mistakes like that open your eyes. I could have gone a bit harder if I'd have read the set correctly, you know, on the reps I was meant to do, if that makes sense, where I only realised I made a mistake about halfway through. Pushed me, if that makes sense. Definitely hope to run a bit more from next month on average, keep it above 55, 60k probably a week. And lastly, weight training. Now I've been really good at this. I did just over 4 hours in December, and I'm at 6 hours 45, so twice a week, anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour. Definitely feeling stronger. I'm lifting close to my sort of all-time high deadlift wise, and hopefully I can lift a little bit more than I did last year, almost 2 times my body weight. But I definitely notice my best biking comes when I'm my strongest in the gym, and that's it. In total we're looking at about just over 70 hours for those 4 weeks, so with Monday and Tuesday for the end of the month, close to 75 for the month, which is a fair amount of training while working. And it's going to be interesting to see how many more hours I do, how many more naps I have. My average sleep has been rather 7.5 to 7.75 hours a night. I'm really hoping to try and get that 8 hours. It's only 15 minutes more, but on average that would be brilliant. Right, I've just finished editing the video and I didn't give myself much of an outro, so thanks everyone for watching. If you got this far, career break starts after this weekend. Time to get after it as of Monday. I'm putting together a bit of a series on my swimming in particular, which I'm hoping to get another video out this week. Next week, in the sort of weekly vlog, I'm going to talk through my plans for the back end of February through March and April, including which races I'm going to do in about 10 weeks' time. Cheers everyone, bye.